In C, if we want to choose between actions or among different actions, we have several choices. To choose between two separate actions, an if-else statement is used. If we want to choose from more than two actions, we can use a nested if-else statement. And also, if we want to choose among several actions in which a variable is tested to see whether it's equal to different possible values, then we can use a switch statement. The if-else statement chooses between two actions, which I'll call here action 1 or action 2. So the general form of an if-else statement is the reserved word if, then a condition in parentheses, so some relational or Boolean expression that is conceptually true or false, and then action 1, which is the next statement, else action 2. So the condition again is any Boolean expression. The actions are going to be the next statement, whatever that happens to be, including possibly a compound statement. So if you want the action to be more than one statement, just make it a compound statement by putting all of the statements in curly braces. So if the value of the condition is true, we're going to execute action 1, else. So if the condition is false, we're going to execute action 2. Now in C, we can nest if-else statements if we want to choose from more than two actions. So here's an example where we say if condition 1 is true, then we're going to execute action 1 and we're done. But if we get to the else, so condition 1 was false, then the statement that we're going to execute is this if-else statement. So the action is another if-else statement that says if condition 2 is true, then we're going to execute action 2 and we're done. But if we get to this else, then we know that neither condition 1 nor condition 2 were true. So we're going to test another condition. If condition 3 is true, we're going to execute action 3, etc. So you can have as many of these as you want. And notice that we're indenting the actions to make it easier to see. So here's an example with quiz grades. So I'm saying if the value of some variable quiz is equal to 9 or quiz is equal to 10. So if quiz is either 9 or 10, then we're going to print A. So if that's true, we print A and we're done. Else, so if quiz was not 9 or 10, then we're going to check and see if it's equal to 8. If the value of quiz is equal to 8, we're going to print B and we're done. Else, if the value of quiz is 7, we're going to print C. Else, we're going to print not good. Okay, so these are all different possible actions. Now the switch statement is used in place of a nested if-else statement, but only if what we're doing is taking the value of what is called switch expression and seeing whether it's equal to different possible values. So the general form is the reserved word switch, then a switch expression, which is generally just the name of a variable, and then we have different things called case labels, where we have the word case, and then we have case expression 1, case expression 2, etc. So if the value of this switch expression is equal to this case expression 1, then we're going to execute action 1. But in C, what happens is if the value of the expression is equal to this case label, we're actually going to execute everything from there on down in the switch. The break statement is what breaks me out of that so that doesn't happen. So if the value of the switch expression is equal to the case expression 1, we're going to execute action 1. Break gets us out and down to whatever comes after that. So we go through and we check the values of the case labels one by one. If the value of switch expression is not equal to case expression 1, then we'll look at the case label on the second one, case expression 2, etc. Now default in C is what handles none of the above. So if the switch expression is not equal to case expression 1 or 2 or 3, etc., default handles anything else. Now if you want more than one value to trigger a particular action, you have to have separate case labels. Let's take a look at an example of the switch. So let's say we have a variable quiz. We're going to do a switch based on the value of quiz. So we have different case labels, 9, 10, 8, 7, etc. So if the value of quiz is equal to 9 or 10, which we specify by having two separate case labels, then the action is to print A and the break gets us out so we don't continue executing all of the other actions. Instead, if the value of quiz is equal to 8, we're going to print B and break out so we don't do any other action. And then if it's not 9, 10, or 8, we'll check the next case level. If the value of quiz is equal to 7, we're going to print C and break out, so that's the only thing we do. And then default handles none of the above. So if the value of quiz is not 9, 10, 8, or 7, what we're going to do is to print not good.